Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I found Scooby-Doo in sticker form and I have to tell you, my guilty pleasure, my peace and happiness and joy is wrapped up in Scooby-Doo. Ever since I was a child, I've watched every episode in, so before I date myself, I watched them in reruns. At least from the beginning series, I watched in reruns. But I've seen every episode ever made, and I actually own them all. That's gonna be our little secret. So I love Scooby-Doo. There's such this sense of, I don't know if it's nostalgia or if it's just that back when a time was more innocent, because everyone was it was a man in a mask. It was just a man in a mask. There was nothing else. So I don't know, but I have always loved Scooby-Doo. So I found these really cute stickers. I found a couple of different ones. There was this one, which our dog thought was really tasty, and so she chewed up part of it. So I'm not sure what the plan is with this just yet, but I'll come up with something. And then there was this one, but I don't necessarily love it, mostly because it's on a white background, and I feel like that would really show up in the resin. So I'm thinking that I may use this for resin crete since it's all super white finish. And then there's this one. So I think we're gonna go with this one. And I've been needing a clock for my studio. I come outside and I realized 3 hours later that I haven't done any of the things I really needed to do, like make dinner, do the laundry, fold the laundry, wash the dishes, take the dogs out, the things that apparently we're supposed to do, right? So I wanted to make a clock. And so I was like, oh, no problem. I have tons of clock molds. I do, but I don't have any plain clock mold. I would have sworn that I did, but I went through every mold and I could not find it. So if it existed at some point, I'm not sure what happened to it, but that's okay because I have this mold and we can make our own clock. This is just a regular tray mold. I don't even know where I got this. It's so old, but just a regular tray mold, and we can just drill out the center once the resin's poured and cured. We can just drill it out to put our clock mechanism in. And then I found the cutest little numbers on Amazon. How cute are these? These are they're the perfect size, one, but two, they're also kind of the perfect shape. They're kind of round, they're kind of fun. They're not plain. They have Scooby-Doo-esque vibes. At least that's what I think. So I poured a bunch of these with UV resin. My initial thought was I would do them in epoxy. But what I was thinking about as I'm like trying to plan this out in my head, right, was if I do them with epoxy, how will I ever get the colors to really match? And I knew that I probably wouldn't. I could get them close, but I was never gonna get them exactly perfect. So what I did instead was I mixed up a bunch of UV resin with this fluorescent deep pink from Laura's Art Corner. It's just some mica powder, and obviously don't mix it up too much because UV resin has to be able to go through it. But I mixed up some of this and then I filled the mold, about halfway for each of the numbers, and then I cured it, and then I filled it up all the way and cured it again. But then I went, oh my gosh, I really have to have 5 number ones. So then I just went back and over again, I made the ones. I didn't film it because I didn't think anyone would really want to see these numbers getting filled up over and over again. But I like the result. I think they're really cute. I like the color, I like the shimmer and the sparkle, and I think it'll work out really well. So what I'm thinking is pour the resin. I'm going to tint it with some octopus fluids, this swimming pool and Smurf. So Scooby-Doo, right? Common colors would be the green, the blue, some orange. I'm not a big fan of the orange, and I think that it would just kind of mix together and muddy, so I didn't want to do that. But these two I think will work really well together. So the green and the blue, classic Scooby-Doo colors. They're alcohol inks, so they're certainly going to be lighter. They're not going to be opaque, which when you make a clock, you want to have it opaque so you can't see the clock mechanism behind it. But I think what I'm going to do is I will pour the first layer and then pour a back coat. Then we'll demold it. We'll take out, well, that's what demold means. We'll take it out of the mold and then we'll put our Scooby sticker on. Then we'll put all of our clock numbers around and then I'll do a top coat and then we'll drill the hole. Or maybe we'll drill the hole and then top coat. I'm still on the fence about that, but that's okay. That's many, many steps down the road. We don't have to plan that much in advance. So I think I'm going to go mix up some resin and then I'll be back. And yeah, we'll pour some amazing Scooby-Doo. Does anybody else ever get that theme song stuck in your head? I will not sing it for you because that is a terrible torture, but I do love Scooby-Doo. All right, I will be right back.
And just like that, 7 ounces of resin all mixed up, and you get voice over me now. I'm all prepared in my gloves and my full face respirator, all about the safety. And you're welcome that you're not hearing the breathing coming from the respirator as we embark on our mixing here, and I'm spilling cups everywhere. I have 7 ounces of the Jade Diction High Gloss resin all mixed up, and I'm just going to split it up into 3 containers. I'm going to have 2 containers with 2.5 ounces each that will have the color in there, and then I'll have just 2 ounces of the clear. Hopefully I did my math right there. So 2.5 of the color, and then whatever's left over, I think it's 2. That'll be the clear. They all have a little bit of shimmer in them too, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. I had to take a second to put down my silicone mat. I forgot to do that. Can you imagine? Because when you overflow resin, can you imagine it just going all over the table? So excuse my little diversion here as I put down the mat, and then we'll actually get started in mixing up some colors and pouring. Oh, this is my favorite part. I love this color so much. All of the octopus fluids are just, they're beautiful, all of them. But this one in particular, the swimming pool, is my all-time favorite. It is, oh my gosh, sublime and gorgeous and stunning and pretty and I don't know, what are some other words? Stupendous and brilliant. I'm not sure there are enough adjectives to adequately describe how beautiful this color is. Well, actually, there probably are. I think it's more that my vocabulary maybe isn't advanced enough to come up with any more words. But oh my gosh, long story short, this color is gorgeous. And not to be outdone, the blue, also known as Smurf. How cute is that? I love the fact that they came up with all of these great names. I think a name can really sell a product. A name, a color, packaging. I know when like my daughter, she's obsessed with pink. And anytime we go shopping or anything like that, she is immediately drawn to anything that is pink and sparkly. Even if it's something that she doesn't need or doesn't want, she's just drawn to it. And I think names are kind of the same way. Like, I love the fact that swimming pool, that color just kind of, it brings to mind this cool, refreshing respite from the heat. There's nothing better than jumping into a pool on a hot summer day. And so when you think about swimming pool, for me at least, it just elicits that going and just, I don't know, getting away from it all and just enjoying being in the water. And Smurf is kind of the same thing, right? I mean, I grew up watching the Smurfs, I admit it, even though they're not my favorite, they're not Scooby-Doo, but I did grow up and watching the Smurfs. And when I see the word Smurf, it automatically kind of transports me back there, and it takes me, obviously the Smurfs were blue. And so it just elicits that kind of nostalgic childhood memory, at least for me. And we are all mixed up. We have our blue and our green. Wait. No. We have our Smurf and our swimming pool. I like that so much better. We have our Smurf and our swimming pool all mixed up. So I'm just going to lay down some clear just to kind of give it a base so that it can move a little bit more easily. And I had a little bit of resin on my glove, so why wouldn't I wipe it all over the mold? That seems like a conservative, non-wasteful approach. So I'm going to just take the swimming pool, not the green, but the swimming pool, and just pour it around the outside edges on top of the clear. That way it kind of starts moving. And look how beautiful that is as it starts to go down. Do you not feel right now like you are looking into this gorgeous swimming pool that you just want to dive into? I'm not sure where everybody is. Obviously, I'm thinking everybody's all over the world. But right now, it's been really cool here. And then all of a sudden, it's blazing hot. Okay, blazing hot for us is 90 degrees. So it's 90 degrees. And all I can think is, oh my gosh, it would be so nice to dive into that pool of that crystal clear green water. And the Smurf with the swimming pool, it is just eliciting all of these feelings of being on this beach, white sandy beaches, and there's nobody around. I don't know why in my fantasy here there's nobody around, but it's just me and the white sandy beach and this absolutely stunning shimmery water. Apparently I am ocean obsessed today. But these two colors, I think, are going to meld really well together. And I'm using just a little bit of clear just to kind of push them out. So that way, as resin comes back in, it'll just kind of do its own thing and form this amazing, beautiful pattern. And I love scraping the cups. I think I've said that before, but gosh, I love the sound it makes. I love the scraping of the cups. But of course, you guys can't hear that because I'm doing voiceover instead. But I love the way that sounds. I could sit and just listen to that all day long. I know that's ridiculous, but it's still true. So I just scraped out the cups and poured my clear in, and then I'm just gonna let this set for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. And then I'm going to come in and pour a back coat of white. And then we'll get to the really fun part where we get to see Scooby-Doo in action. Welcome to the next day. And okay, I am loving this. Absolutely loving this. Oh my gosh, that galaxy pattern. I don't even know. Like, what is another way to say I am in love? It's gorgeous. So pretty. I hope the front looks just as nice because I'm about to dump a bunch of white on the back. So I'm hoping that the front reflects that same pattern. I'm going to just have some faith that is the case. So I mixed up another 7 ounces. How crazy is it that this mold's taking 14 ounces of resin? So another 7 ounces of the J Diction High Gloss. And I mixed in some white pigment paste, a little bit of white mica powder, and I'm just going to coat the back in this. I do try to fill it up to the top of the mold. That way I don't have to trim as much because I'm being a little bit lazy. I do run the risk of it being a very thick clock, but at the same time, it's for me, and so I'm okay with it being a thick clock. I'm a little sad now. I can't see the other side. The white is so boring. But I did take a tool, a little silicone tool, and run it around the outside edges just to hopefully dislodge any bubbles that might be clinging to the edges. Sadly, I did forget to do that on the other side, so I do hope that the alcohol was enough to dislodge any of those bubbles, but I guess we'll find out in a few hours. I'm just going to flip the heat mat on because I have the patience of a 2-year-old, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit. Fast forward 4 hours later, and still on voiceover because there was chaos happening in my house, and I tried to save everyone from the yapping dogs, the laughing teenagers. I mean, teenagers having fun. It's just, nobody wants to hear that. So I did decide to do the voiceover just to keep you from losing your minds with all of the yelling and barking and ridiculousness happening in the background. And oh my gosh, it looks the same on the front as it did on the back. It's got the swirl in the middle. It's got the glitter around the edges. Oh my gosh, it is everything that I wanted it to be. I absolutely love it, except for when I turn it that one direction right there. There's like a creepy face in the middle, but that's okay because we are going to cover that up with a sticker. No one will ever know that there is some weird creepy guy there. So over the next, what felt like 18 hours, I used a ruler and tried to find the midpoint of the tray. So the tray is 9 inches across and 9 inches up and down. So in the middle of that should be 4.5 inches. Now, I am sure that there is probably a very elaborate, amazing mathematical way to figure this out. But considering that I am mathematically challenged, I used a ruler and a marker to mark the central point on the tray. After I spent a few minutes admiring that very creepy face that reminds me of something from like SpongeBob SquarePants. Do you remember that the ghost from SpongeBob SquarePants? I can't remember his name now. If you remember, put it in the comments below. I can't. But that's what it reminds me of. So after that, I spent the next, also what felt like 18 hours, trying to find the central point on Scooby-Doo so that we could then match up the central points and have Scooby-Doo centered on the clock. Well, once again, just like to point out, I am mathematically challenged, so I'm sure this may not go exactly as planned. So with some very much needed deep breathing, I took the sticker off and put it in the middle, what I hoped was the middle. Is it completely central? No. Is it close? It is close. So you know what? I will take close, and next time figure out a better way to get the center point. And looking at it in the camera, it looks way farther off than it really is. I promise it's much closer in the real world. I think my camera, it records a little bit on an angle so I can see it. So yeah, I promise you, it's much closer. Yeah, yes, it is much closer. So now that my sticker is down, I am moving on to the numbers. This is where things went a little bit awry. I mean, it wouldn't be a project without something going awry. So first, I was going to use Liquid Fusion to attach my numbers to the clock. That was not working. No matter how hard I tried, that was not working. So I broke out the E6000. I love E6000, don't get me wrong. But what I don't like about E6000 is all of that stringiness that comes with it. I just don't like that. So I was trying to avoid using it, but the Liquid Fusion was having absolutely no part of this project. It was right about this time that I realized there are 2 2s on a clock, not just one. Thankfully, when I originally mixed up my mica powder UV resin, I had extra and I just kept it until the end of the project, just in case. I was more worried that I would lose a number than anything else, but I had kept it. So I reached for it very quickly and then filled up the number 2 and then put it in the UV light to cure it for 5 minutes. What I didn't realize is that somehow along the way, I was missing a 1. I don't know if I didn't make enough or if I lost 1. But after I made the 2, later on, as I get to the 11, I realized I was 1 short. So I had to go back and also make an extra 1. It was, not ideal. But I carried on and got all the numbers on eventually. I did do quite a bit of cleanup with the E6000. That stringiness drives me bonkers, but I did get, I hope, most of it off. And it took a while actually to make sure that I was getting everything where it kind of needed to go. In retrospect, I really should have printed out a clock face the same size as my mold. That way I could have better placed the numbers. I think actually when it's all said and done, that some of the numbers are going to be a little bit off. So in retrospect, I would have printed that, and I think it would have made it, one, it would have made it easier to put the numbers in the right spot, and two, I think it would be more effective for actually being able to see what the actual time is. But then again, time is a human construct. So really, when you think about it, is it really important that we know exactly what time it is? I mean, okay, my boss might think that it's important. But outside of that, is it really all that important? So after all was said and done, it actually looks really cute. I do think some of the numbers are not completely where they should be, but I know better for next time. And I think next time too, instead of doing a mold with the numbers, because they are a little bit chunky, I think I would instead go with Cricut. I would probably print them on the Cricut. All in all, I love it. It's really, really cute. So next we'll come back once this is all completely dry. We'll drill out the hole, hopefully in the center, and then top coat it, put our clock mechanism on, and we'll be finished. So Scooby-Doo will hang on the wall very soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Fast forward 12 hours later, and look, Scooby-Doo has a hole in him. I wasn't really sure if how the drilling was going to go. I have actually never drilled such a thick piece before, but you know what? I grabbed my pink drill. It is pink, and it went through like without too much of a hassle. So I was pretty impressed with my very, my drilling skills. You know, one of the things I like about resin is that it kind of pushes me out of my comfort zone. I'm not typically a person who would just grab a drill and go do something, but resin kind of pushes me beyond that, which is something that I really like. I've done so many different things that I'm not sure that I would have done if it wasn't in like the name of a project. I set Scooby-Doo on top of a bowl. I just elevated it up off of the table just in case any of the resin runs over the side. If it's sitting flat on the table and it runs over the side, then it's going to get on your mat, it's going to get on your table, and there's the chance that it could ruin your project. Certainly, if it does run over the side, you may have some drip marks, but drip marks are a lot easier to deal with than if you are stuck down to the table. So I did just elevate it, 6 inches off the table. I got a little mixing happy when I mixed up the resin for the top coat. I knew I probably only needed 2 ounces, but somehow in my brain went 2 ounces. No, you probably need 5. I'm not sure why I did that. I knew better. So I mixed up 5 ounces of the J. Diction 4-hour demold. I generally don't love 4-hour resins just because they are so thick. They hold on to bubbles. I feel like they're harder to work with. That is just my preference. However, I will say when it comes to top coating, I do like a thicker resin because there's less chance of it running over the side. I'm just taking a silicone tool and just spreading the resin out to the very edge of the piece. And so people will always ask, well, how do you know how much resin to put on? And you don't always know the exact amount. What you will know is if you have enough. So the way that you know is if it starts to pull away from your sides. So once you're pouring your resin into the middle and you're kind of spreading it out, you're going to continually turn your piece around and just make sure that it's in all of the sides, right? And so if you start to see that, oh, I pushed it to the side, but now it's pulled back into the piece because resin pulls towards the middle, then you know that you don't have enough. So you just need to add a little bit more. When you're top coating, I feel like I go around the piece 4 or 5 times just to make sure, I just spin it around on the bowl, or if you have a lazy Susan or whatever makes it easy for you, but I just kind of spin the bowl itself around so I can see each of the pieces. I get down on eye level. I give it a few minutes in between each turn just to make sure that it's not pulling away from the edges. I really wish that I would have done the numbers on my Cricut, printed them out on vinyl instead of actually creating resin numbers. I like the 3D effect of the resin numbers. However, it does make it much more difficult to get the top coat everywhere it needs to be. So just make sure if you're doing a top coat with something like this, that you go around all of the different edges of the numbers, especially on the numbers that have the weird little tiny spaces in between. So like the 3, the 6, the 9, anything that just has those little tiny crevices, make sure you get resin in there. Otherwise, it's going to pull away and you're going to have a bare spot and it's going to look a little bit off. After going over it so many different times, I took a long neck lighter and just ran it around the piece just to make sure there weren't any bubbles. I wasn't seeing any, but that doesn't mean that they're not hiding somewhere, especially around that Scooby-Doo sticker. So I did just make sure I tried to be as proactive as possible in getting rid of any bubbles that might be there. And once I was completely satisfied that I wasn't going to need any more resin, I realized, I have 3.5 ounces of resin left. What am I going to do with this? And by now, it's getting thick because I'd spent quite a bit of time trying to make sure that Scooby was as perfect as he could be. So it's pretty thick and it is pretty hot. When you can feel how hot it is through your gloves, it's definitely time to get it out of the cup. I always have my elk mold on standby, but it only takes about 2 ounces, and so I didn't want to be stuck with an extra 1.5 ounces to try to figure out what to do with it. So someone gifted me a mold that I have no idea what it is. I've never made it before. It's one of those where you look at it and go, I'm not really sure what this is. And I guess I could have flipped it inside out to figure that out, but I didn't. So this is going to be a mystery demold for everyone. I think this is one of the times that my procrastination pays off. So I happened to be out the other day and I found some Pearl X mica powders on sale. And I love the Pearl X. I think they're so pretty. They have such a nice pearlescence about them. So I bought a few of them while they were on sale. And I had them sitting on my table. I hadn't put them away yet. I know. And so I reached over and I grabbed the purple, which by the way is stunning, absolutely stunning. I see definite pieces in the future with the purple. So I had 3.5 ounces left and I mixed up the purple, threw a little bit of the shimmer powder in there and went to fill up this mold. Well, this mold takes more than 3.5 ounces, which I soon found out. I had 3.5 of the purple and then I had maybe 1/2 ounce, maybe not quite 1/2 ounce of the clear left. So I dumped the purple in and then I dumped the clear in and then I realized I still don't have enough. So the next time I mix up resin, I will mix up enough just to top it off. I'm guessing it probably needs another 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces. I did give it some tapping and some squishing since I don't know what it is. I don't know how intricate it is on the inside. So I gave it a pretty good tap and a little bit of bang on the table and then doused it with some isopropyl alcohol. Also sprayed Scooby with some isopropyl and crossing my fingers that all is well. And that's it for today. Well, that's it for the next 4 hours. And then I will be back. We'll put the clock mechanism on. And that will be the end. And Scooby-Doo will have its place of glory hanging on the wall. So I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, so Scooby-Doo is finished and not too bad. It's still a little soft. I put a fingerprint in it, but I just used a heat gun to blow it out, but not too bad. I actually think he turned out really cute and I think he's gonna be great on the wall. What do you guys think? All right, well, thanks for sticking with me. I hope that you have enjoyed the Scooby-Doo journey. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and I would love if you hit subscribe. Thanks, everyone, and see you next time.